Hello and thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Zane and you are watching Reading Too Much Into It. Today we're going to be discussing Sosuke Aizen, the main antagonist of Bleach right up until about, or I believe, volume 48. Aizen stands out among a lot of villains in two ways. For one, his backstory isn't really that talked about or discussed. Like it's briefly mentioned by Ichigo that given how powerful he is naturally, he must have been lonely, but that's really all we get. We get a flashback to I believe 110 years, I believe, before the start of the series, but by then Aizen's already evil. And the other main difference between Aizen and a lot of villains that you see nowadays is he doesn't really believe that what he's doing is like good. Basically any given Naruto villain, for instance, kind of has this philosophy that they're doing the right thing, that they're pursuing justice. And I don't want this video to just be comparing Naruto with Bleach, but that was just kind of the first thing that came to mind. But Aizen doesn't really have this. He very clearly is a bad guy and knows that he's a bad guy. This kind of makes trying to put a pin on his motivations a difficult thing to do. However, I believe that given what we know from the series, given what he said, given what's been said about him and what hasn't been said, that we can deduce that Aizen has a major problem with authority. So at the end of the Soul Society arc, when Aizen is defecting from the Soul Society and he's confronted by Ukitake about why he's doing this, or Ukitake doesn't even ask that. He just asks him have you become so corrupt that you would join up with the Hollows, to which Aizen responds very, very interestingly, and this is our first hint of his lack of tolerance towards authority, that nobody stands at the top and that I'm going to be the one basically to stand in the vacant heavens. However, this contradicts a few pieces of information that we learn later on. The heavens are not empty. There is a Soul King. However, as revealed in the Thousand Year Blood War arc, the Soul King isn't really a king. He's not a person like me or anybody watching this who can make autonomous decisions. Rather, the Soul King is more like a vegetable. On this note, it's revealed, I think, towards the beginning of the Arrancar arc that Aizen's goal is to kill and replace the Soul King. At least that's what the whoever was conducting the investigation up in Soul Society was able to figure out. I don't know if Aizen ever confirmed that, but we know for a fact that he wanted to enter the royal realm. And to me, this shows his drive to assume positions of authority for himself, which I mean we already know of, because in the Soul Society arc, we discover that Aizen had killed the Central 46. I want to say it was right after Renji found Rukia in the world of the living. I believe that's what Aizen said, because I know people thought he killed them a lot later than he did. But anyways, at some point, he kills the Central 46 and then uses Kyoka Suigetsu to make it seem like they're still operating, when in reality, it's just a and/or combination of him, Gin, and Tosin issuing orders as Central 46. So in a way, he's kind of ruling Soul Society, because the Central 46 are the main governing body who decides what to do and what to employ the court guard squads for. And also he assumes control of Waco Mundo well before that. We see he went to usurp Baragon's throne way back when he still had the glasses and the captain's cloak. So that meant that at some point before the Soul Society arc, Aizen was already the ruler of Waco Mundo, which once again shows that he has almost insatiable drive to assume positions of authority for himself. So during Aizen's confrontation with Yuha in the at the end of the Thousand Year Blood War arc, or towards the end, not the very end, Yuha points out that it's kind of strange and almost comical. I don't know if he says that word exactly, but that Aizen is standing in defense of the Soul Society. To which Aizen says that my only agenda is to eliminate those who would try and rule and control me. And so I think that it's this moment that we get the clearest establishment of his motivations. And I'll delve into another moment later, but in this moment, it's like clear that his issue is like with all types of authority. And I think therefore it's not necessarily like, at least in my opinion, a form of godhood that he wants. Like when he's telling Ukitake like that he wants to stand in the heavens, we're I think that, Bleach is like a shonen anime, and I think like a lot of shonen anime villains, oh, this guy wants to become God, is pretty common. And so that's what I think we're kind of trained to believe, but I don't really think that's like that could be what Aizen wants, but like if he was like writing like a planner and like the last like event of the planner, I don't think it would be become God. I think it would be like be above the Soul King, and I think that that's what this whole thing has been about, is about being above the thing that can rule over you. Whether that encompasses godhood or not is irrelevant. Like if it does, it does, but if it doesn't, then it doesn't. I think Aizen just wants to be above the like the few forces in the world, or in the universe, I guess, that can possibly stand up against him. So to bring the conversation back to how this like overall thing translates into a lack of tolerance towards authority, I think it's necessary to mention that Aizen, for all of his like badass villainous ways, is generally a merciful person. Like other than the Central 46 and maybe like a few hollows, I don't really think that he's killed anybody. Like he's certainly like tried to, I think, but like given how intelligent he is, I feel like if he really wanted to kill somebody, he's more than capable of killing them, especially the ones that he tries to kill in the series, and namely Momo. I think Aizen is well equipped to kill Momo, but he doesn't, even though like he impales her in the Soul Society arc, and he tricks Hitsugaya into impaling her in the fake Karakura Town arc. And so, and even during that battle, when he's cutting down all the captains, he kind of makes it a point not to kill them. And I don't know if this is like a power move to show that like, wow, I'm even showing restraint, even though I'm kicking all of your guys' butts. But like, it's interesting that then that the only people that like I think noteworthy people that Aizen kills is the Central 46 and a bunch of hollows, but I'm not really going to count those, because if Aizen kills them, that just means that they go to the Soul Society, because he is a Zanpakuto. And he also seems to have a special kind of hate towards the Soul King, because when he's being sealed by Urahara at the end of the Deicide arc, he's like screaming that like, how dare someone of your abilities and your intelligence be willing to subjugate yourself to that thing. Like he's disgusted that he has to operate within the confines set by a being that I think he is deemed to be lesser than him, because as we know, and as I said earlier, the Soul King is essentially a vegetable. Like I doubt the Soul King, if the Soul King can think, it definitely can't communicate, at least in the way that one would expect, like namely speech, or even like head nods or anything, because the Soul King lacks limbs and also lacks the ability to move its body, I believe. And considering, and now spoiler alert for the Can't Fear Your Own World novels, the replacement Soul King is a corpse. I won't say whose corpse. I think that I should be A-okay. So if I just leave it at that. The replacement Soul King is a corpse. And so the fact that a corpse could possibly essentially become God, I think, is disgusting to Aizen. And while that's the new Soul King, not the old Soul King, the old Soul King is basically like is a still living being who's like a vegetable. I think that Aizen is mad that he has to live in a world where like the laws of the universe are being dictated. I don't want to say dictated like in like the sense of like the Soul King has decided this is how the world should be. I think it's more of like other people decided how the world should be, and force the Soul King into the position where it has to maintain that order. And I don't know if Aizen knows this or not, but it's implied that he knows like the real Soul King, like he's seen it before. And so I think that he might know, but I think that he's more like ticked that, like, once again, that he has to operate like in a world that is held together by like this thing that is so much less intelligent than him because it basically has no sentient thought, whereas Aizen is kind of known for his intellect. And so I think that at the end of the day, he's just really, really angry that he has to obey any authority that he deems to be weaker or less intelligent than himself. Like, for instance, Central 46, like I said earlier, he played them like a fiddle. He completely fooled them, and I think at that moment he might have decided that, hey, these people really suck compared to me, so I should be in charge. And while he's only in charge to get the Hogyoku, I think that, you know, he's very like believable as them. Like, none of the Soul Reapers like ever question. Well, I mean, some of them question the orders, but like roughly half of them don't. And you know, whether you want to chalk that up to Soul Society's like conservative attitude regarding its government, or if you want to chalk that up to just how like compelling Aizen is as a policymaker, you know, like that's none of my business. But I think it's interesting, and I know I've said that a million times, like, you know, take a drink every time I say that, but I think the point of Aizen's transcendence is to rise above the jurisdiction of the Soul King, in the sense of, by transcending to a being that is no longer Hollow nor Soul Reaper, like, and remember, like, this is Bleach, so unless you're outright stated to be a human in the world of the living, you're basically just like a living soul. So Aizen has transcended his spirit basically, and so I think that by doing this, he's no longer like counted, if you will, in like the balance of souls that the Soul King has to maintain, like this current. I believe that by transcending, Aizen has essentially left the current, and I believe that that might have been partially the goal. Like, like godlike powers are cool and everything, and aren't necessary for keeping away those who might try and invent creative ways to restrain you. But overall, I think Aizen's goal was to reach a point where he could be above the Soul King's like level of existence, and then possibly kill the Soul King so that he remains as like the soul, no pun intended, transcended being. And I think that that is where a lot of his anger towards the Soul King comes from, because he thinks that, like I said earlier when I was explaining why he felt the need to kill Central 46, because they were so much less intelligent than he was, and he and two other accomplices who were probably just doing what he said were able to do 46 people's job. And so I think it's like that same principle applied here to the Soul King, that if I can reach like your level, but I can think, and I can think very, very well, then why shouldn't I be king? Sort of mentality that Aizen has going on. And I think that that's where a lot of his distaste towards authority comes from. Thank you so much for watching. It means a lot, and I look forward to seeing you all next week for the next video. Like and subscribe if you like the video and if you want to see more. Thank you once again. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. It means a lot, and I look forward to seeing you all next week for the next video. Like and subscribe if you like the video and if you want to see more. Thank you once again. Have a great day.